everybody, it's me, Rachel Cross. I'm here to bring you Art from the Heart, where everything we create is with a point and a purpose. I hope everyone is doing well, and today we are going to create dream catchers. I personally really like dream catchers. I'm going to just hold up some samples of things that I made different ways, and I will go into explaining how I created them. I have many different samples for many different ways of how you can create these. And I'm not sure if you are familiar with dream catchers, but they started from Native Americans as a protective device. And we now hang them over our bed per se to keep the bad dreams away, or for them to catch, right, dream catcher, to catch the bad dreams and to give you more of a peaceful rest and sleep and kind of protect you from that. And so they are very, very cool and very fun, and again, I personally love them. And so I want to just go over first, before I go over supplies, like I showed the different ways that you can make them. And then I'm going to just show you one example of how to make them, and I'll walk through that process because it is a little bit of time, right, which we do have right now. I actually made this one. I took 2 days just because I didn't feel like sitting and doing it all in one day, which was fine. But it does take a little bit of time, but they are definitely fun. So much room for creativity. So this one is made with ribbon, which if you have access to yarn, I suggest doing the yarn instead. The ribbon was a little more tedious with having to, if you're anything like me, when I do art, I tend to become a perfectionist all of a sudden. Like, it needs to be perfect. I don't know, that's just the way my brain thinks. So I got really serious about laying all of the ribbon nice and close and straight, and so it did become a little bit tedious. Which for me as an artist can be a little bit frustrating at times. But I am so happy with the end result. I absolutely love this, and I love how it turned out. I even added some beads in the middle. And so if you're not familiar with dream catchers, I do encourage you to look them up, Google them. There are so many different examples, different ways that you can make them. And they, a lot of times, right, tend to have the embellishments at the bottom, which I did add the feathers and the beads to that. And again, I will go over how I made this one right here, is how the sample I'm going to show you. But I also, this one is the same, but with the yarn, just smaller version. And I also made this one out of paper, construction paper, and a cereal box. And I am going to use a cereal box today. These other ones were made out of cardboard. Not all of us have access to cardboard, so a cereal box, anytime a cracker box, anything that's a little bit thicker than paper will definitely work good. This is construction paper right here with just strips that are cut. They have been cut. And the feathers at the bottom are paper that I just cut to look like feathers and attached to the yarn. If you do not have access to yarn, all you have is paper. You could even make these, where these strings are, the yarn, you could even make those with paper. So this is definitely creatable with just paper. If all you have is white paper, color it, you know, get creative. You can color it any way that you want and construct it and put it together. Or if you have access to paint, you could definitely paint it. And this is one that has been created just on paper. So this was just drawn. It was drawn out and then colored in with Sharpies and colored pencils. And so I created this one, and after I did, I was really thinking about the meaning of a dream catcher. And I thought of how I will probably go back and write different things around this dream catcher that I would love a dream catcher to catch. And I mean the things in my life that are negative, that I don't like thinking about when they pop up, or if I am worried about something before I go to sleep, I was really reflecting and thinking about how this would be an appropriate way to write them down and let my dream catcher hold them for me. And I think that's what I love about the whole concept of the dream catcher, is that they get to hold that stuff. And if you're anything like me, I need outlets. I need a place for negative thoughts, bad memories. I have been through things in my life that have left not such great memories, and a lot of us have. And this can hold it. I actually have a real dream catcher in my room. I don't hang it above my bed, but I do have it hanging in my room. And every time I look at it, it is a symbol of that, of almost like a sigh of relief that I know something is there to hold those things for me, that I don't have to carry them around. And when we do find outlets like that, we do find more freedom and peace within ourselves. And again, that's the whole symbolic reason of a dream catcher, is to have a protector from things that are bad. That's how they started. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to name off the supplies that I used, and I do have a supply list written out because it is a little lengthy. So different things you can use is the cardboard or the cereal box, which again, I'm going to use today. Frosted Flakes, right? I'm going to use this inside part of it. There's the cardboard, yarn or ribbon. I didn't bring any ribbon, but ribbon. And then tape. Tape was my best friend using this. You can use glue, but tape was much easier and much faster. And just regular Scotch tape if you have that available. Scissors. I use the feathers, or I use the construction paper for feathers. I also use colored pencils, markers. I already said the construction paper. And you can have glue or glue stick if that's what you prefer or like. And just a quick side note, when cutting cardboard, be careful. It can be tricky. When using the cardboard, we do have to cut in inner circle, which can also be hard. I found a little quick way, and I'm going to use that as an example today to show you an easier way to cut the middle instead of having to stick something in there and cut around. So, because it can be a little tricky. And I just, I want you to be safe cutting cardboard. So with that, I'm going to, we did the supplies, go over how I made these. So again, this one was just drawn. It was just drawn and colored. So with the cardboard or cereal box, which I'm going to use, I literally just grabbed circle items in my house because I wanted the circle to be perfect, right? So I grabbed something from my house that I could make the outer circle, and this one actually sticks in. Ignore my notes that I wrote on there. And this was the inner circle. So this is the one I'm going to use this as a template right now. I think I found a cup and a bowl. So let me go ahead and lower this down. And what I'm going to do is just trace this, just like I did with the cup and bowl at my home when I first made this one. And then I laid the smaller circle inside the larger circle and just traced it. And then went ahead and cut it out. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut a really big cut first and take this circle out of the bigger box, which of course you can do before you make your circles. Put that down. And then, so I'm just quickly going to cut the larger circle out. And I'm doing this so I can show you the little shortcut that I found to cut the inner circle. Almost done here. Here we go. All right, so what I did when cutting the inner circle, I actually just made a cut into the smaller circle, and then I began to follow the line and cut it out. So I found that I'm able to do this with this project because I can tape up that line that I just cut, and no one will ever know. because it's going to be covered with the yarn or ribbon that I choose to use. Now, if you are just coloring yours, if you don't have, or painting it, if you don't have yarn available to you, you might want to think about cutting the inner circle a little different. You can always stick a pencil into the middle and then cut from there. It may take a couple times to get it all out, and that's okay. Right? It's all just part of the creation process. So there we go. There is the circle that I cut with the line. I'm going to tape out just a little bit more. So really, tape was my best friend in this project. So with that, after you have that process, you're going to pick a side, which is your back. And so we need to keep the back, and the front, because as you can see, there is tape all along the back side that is holding it together, or glue. If you're familiar with a low temp hot glue gun, that would definitely work during this. If you need help with that, or if you are younger, definitely have someone there helping you, supervising you. It's recommended to have assistance with that. So I definitely needed to pick a back side because that's where all the tape and the pieces are being held together. So once you decide on your front side and back side, again, I'm going to use yarn as the example today. So you will pick a color, whatever colors you have, maybe just available to you, or if you have access to yarn in any way, a friend, a neighbor, your parents, grandparents, caretaker, whoever that may be. If they have yarn, they'll let you use them. Yarn is not very expensive. It is very affordable. I think these rolls were just maybe like $2 on sale at Michael's each, so that's why I got quite a few of them. And I'm actually going to be doing another activity soon with yarn that will show another yarn activity, which is super cool. So okay, so I just taped it to hold on to the paper, right? Hold the yarn to the paper. And so I picked the back side as the printed side. So once I get that, I'm just going to start wrapping it. Now with the longer string that you have, just be more mindful of the wrapping process and that it doesn't get tangled within itself, because it will if we go too fast or if we don't clear it out through the center of the circle. So what I'm doing is just wrapping it. So how I got these cool inner web designs, that is the point of the Dreamcatcher, is to have this inner web, because that's what's going to catch the bad dreams or the bad thoughts. That's how it is believed to work. So with that, when I'm wrapping it, I wrapped it around a few times, and then I just take the string or the yarn and pull it across the circle wherever I want it to go. And I will do this a few times for you to see how it works. And then I just start wrapping it. So you're going to want to get it a little tight, because we do need some tension in there to hold the yarn straight. And just pulling it, and not too tight, because if it's the thinner material like this, it will start to bend a little bit. With my larger one with the cardboard, it did start to do the same thing, just because I have so much on there. So just be mindful of that as well. And this can be a really good relaxing skill for you, a coping skill, strategy. Just kind of get the time going by and focus on creating something for yourself or for somebody else. You could even make these for other people and send them out as a gift right now, or be able to see them whenever we can and give that to them. So here again, I'm just wrapping it, okay, and so I'm ready to make another inner web. So I'm just going to take it and run it across, and then again, just begin to wrap it. And so the tension from the string, wrapping it and pulling it, will hold it in place. If for some reason yours is starting to get a little wobbly or it's not tightening up like you want it to, you can tape it on the back. I had to do that a few times as my circle started to get full. And then we just keep wrapping it. I think I wanted to go around one more time and just show you how I end it. You know what, let me back up just a second and put some beads on here just so you can see how I did that. So I'm gonna lay that flat for a minute, and I have an assortment of beads. If you have any kind of beads available that you can put on there, you can add these embellishments to it. So I think I'm just gonna add some white and a blue bead on there just to show you how it worked. And hopefully this yarn doesn't get too frayed. If you are using yarn and it gets frayed, you can put a little bit of tape on the end and it will help hold the ends, kind of like a shoelace, how the end of our shoelace has that plastic wrap on it real tight, right? So the laces don't get frayed out. It's the same type of idea for the yarn. So, okay, so I just put the beads on there, and then I'm going to continue to wrap my string around the circle and then tighten it. And so those beads will hang like that. They are movable. And with it being done on that side, I'm going to tape the back because that's what's going to secure the yarn to the circle. Going to tape that and just hold it down. Push this tape down. I can cut off the extra yarn. And so from there, I would begin to wrap it in several different colors. I can continue with the yellow. I can add any other colors that I have to it. And I would just continue the same process until it is full all the way around. Now, whenever it starts to come to the end, and I know for myself, I didn't want any more webbed markings in there. It was starting to get full. I didn't want too many. I wanted it to hold its substance. So what I did was I just came through and actually wrapped some of the color without making the web. So I just began to wrap it around the circle and not crossing it over, just to kind of fill in the gaps. So you can also do that before you get started with the webbed process. If you want to pick some areas of where you would like certain colors, you can go ahead and do that. And then do the web afterwards. I think that process may be a little easier because it was a little tricky to do the finished wrapping without the crossover at the end, just because of the spacing, right? Putting the yarn through the smaller gaps became a little bit of a challenge, but it wasn't bad, not at all. So with that, I'd like to show how I completed the bottom with the feather and the beads and the string. It was not difficult at all to do it, just took a little bit of time and patience, but I definitely want to show that. So I'm going to use some white, this will be perfect, some white yarn. And again, I turn it over to the back. I pick where I want the top because the bottom hanging embellishments goes on the bottom of the Dreamcatcher. So again, I'm just going to tape this down. Now, if you have any feathers or beads available to put on your Dreamcatcher, that is awesome. And if not, that's fine. I totally made these bottom feathers myself by getting construction paper, folding it, and not on the crease side, but on the opposite side where the papers just meet. I just began to make a bunch of cuts of slats, and then I opened it up. I shaped it more into the shape of a feather, and then just taped them onto the yarn that I had hanging from the Dreamcatcher. So you can totally make your own. Don't feel like you're limited if you don't have all these supplies available to you. I want to encourage you to think outside of the box. You can even look up creative ways of how to do this if you want to try something different. And remember, I would love to see your creations, what you come up with, whether you paint one, you physically make one that can hang in your room, or you just draw one on paper. You can always share that on Instagram at #OperationStayConnected. Definitely would love to see your creative ideas. Now back to this. I got the string, the yarn. And okay, so we freed a feather, and I will show how I cut them as well. That's a great opportunity to do that. So with the feather, this one doesn't have too long of a stick hanging out. Totally fine. Remember to bead your yarn first before you put your feather on it, and the beads are definitely going to act as a holding device. Thank you, mystery-handed paper. I kind of sing sometimes when I'm creating or kind of doing anything. It's the artist in me, I guess. Okay, so I got the beads on, right? We're going to tie the string yarn onto the feather, low enough to where we have a little bit of the stick end sticking out, right? This is what I'm calling the stick end, the harder part. These are fake feathers. And so after I have it tied, I'm going to kind of just pull it all together here and then take these beads that I put on there. You can put as many as you like. I just used 2 for right now. And then I'm going to slide the bead over all of it, over the end of the feather, over the string, and that's what's really going to help hold it on there and seal it. Now you can use a hot glue gun to really seal it on there and just seal your beads on there. I've done that before, but I was looking for alternative ways to do it in case we don't have access to that. And so I did find that tying this on there can work. You can even wrap some tape at the end if you want. And there we go. So with that, right, it's not something you would pull on because it will probably come apart, but it's definitely something that can hang in your room, something that is done easily. Okay, we got to cut that string because I don't like it. And then let me demonstrate very quickly how I made the feathers with the paper. So here is some paper, and again, I'm going to just fold it in half, going long ways, lengthwise, right? And I'm going to fold it. Now, be sure to cut it on the open side. I did make the mistake of cutting it on the wrong side, right? And so no big problem, just start it over. So once you fold it, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of cut it a little bit shorter. So what I did was I just began kind of, I don't know, just a tiny bit up, maybe an inch up or so from the bottom. I just started cutting it, and not quite, of course, to the center because I don't want to cut through the paper, but I did cut very close together slats. I feel that doing it that way gave it more of a feathered look, because that's what I'm wanting to do as an artist, is for you to believe that I have a feather hanging there. That's a lot how art works. I need you to believe that there's a feather there as the artist. So again, I'm just cutting it very closely. I'm going to make just a few more and then call it good. Okay, so what I'm going to do there is I just cut it. So when I opened it, right, it looked like this. And so I still have the bottom that I didn't cut. So I needed to really just look at it of how I wanted it to look as a feather. So what I did here was I came back through and I started making them more angled to where the last slat cut kind of lines up with the corner. And then I just went like this and I started cutting it kind of like straight up and just following the shape of the triangle that I had left. Let's make one more if we can do it. I cut a little piece off, that's okay. And then open it. Okay, so the top definitely resembles a feather, and you can even cut it down a little bit. I may do that just to show you that too. So right here, this is basically just a rectangle with a pointed top. I need it to look more like a feather, so I'm going to pick the point and just kind of round these out is what I did when I cut it. So I can make more of a point. I need to cut that one a little bit more. A point with the bottom of it. There we go, right? And so here is also, if you need a little bit on it to make like a stem, you just cut it off. Cut off what you don't want, right? Remember, you're the creator. There's no wrong way to create this. Especially when you see me and I'm doing art from the heart, there's never a wrong way to create art. However you do it is always the right way, because that's how you did it, right? And that's what I encourage. So then I just ruffled it up a little bit just to kind of give it that kind of like feathered look, right? Not so it's just laying all flat and still. So that's how I did that. Let me attach another string and we will tie that one on there and let's see if it looks real, right? Do another white one, and you can be creative. You can use any colors you want. You can even, if all you have is paper, but somehow you have feathers, awesome. Put paper strings down right here. Put real feathers on it, right? There's no wrong way how to do this. This is where we have free creativity. And if you end up not liking it when it's over, okay, that's okay. It's all about the experience, right? So here we go with the string, and where the feather go. Okay, again, right, I gotta pick the back side to put the feather on, and then tape, 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 and more tape, right? You could use glue. Glue stick and yarn don't really work that well together. Elmer's glue and yarn do, but I feel like it takes, oh, I'm almost out of tape, forever to dry sometimes, or it can be more of a messy process. So that's why I loved tape with the Dreamcatcher process of creation. It was easy, it was less mess. Definitely love the less mess, right? And just taping this to the back side. I'm going to tape it all the way up to kind of secure it even on the end. I'm going to fold the tape over a little bit, and there we go. There is the paper made feather, right? So it's definitely doable. You can definitely create this anyway. Heck, if you have some feathers and some not, I think that actually looks kind of cool, right? Once it would be finished. Yeah, all about creativity. So these are the dream catchers that I brought for today. I hope that you enjoy making them if you choose to. And again, please share them with us at hashtag Operation Stay Connected. Would definitely love to see all that you create and design. And I hope to see you again next time.